A highly accomplished CEO, Angela Carter, confidently walked into her local bank branch, expecting nothing more than a routine withdrawal. She was dressed in casual attire, nothing flashy, nothing extravagant. After all, she wasn't here to impress anyone. But what she didn't anticipate was the sheer arrogance and prejudice she was about to face. The moment Angela stepped up to the counter, the bank teller, a young man named Kevin, gave her a skeptical once-over. His expression hardened as he eyed her ID. Then, with a condescending smirk, he shook his head. "I'm sorry, but without a high-value account, we can't process this request," he said dismissively, his tone dripping with judgment. Angela's brows lifted slightly, surprised by his audacity. Before she could respond, the bank manager, Mr. Thompson, strolled over, equally unimpressed. He barely glanced at her ID before shaking his head disapprovingly. "Ma'am, transactions of this amount require credibility verification," he said, his voice laced with doubt. "You'll need to return with someone who actually owns the account." A moment of silence hung in the air. Angela, though outwardly composed, felt a storm brewing inside. They had no idea who they were speaking to, who they were humiliating. Her hands curled into fists at her sides, but she didn't explode. Oh no, she had a much better way to handle this. Angela Carter wasn't just any bank customer. She was the CEO and founder of Carter Financial, a powerful name in the financial industry. In fact, she owned several banks, including the very one she was standing in. But today, she had chosen to enter unannounced, dress simply, without flaunting her influence. And what happened? She was judged at first glance, dismissed as someone who didn't belong. Taking a deep breath, Angela calmly stepped away from the counter and reached for her phone. "Yes, I need you at my bank branch immediately," she said, her voice steady but firm. Kevin and Mr. Thompson exchanged smug glances, clearly believing they had put her in her place. Other customers in the bank, sensing the tension, began murmuring among themselves. Some whispered, others chuckled, completely unaware of the bombshell that was about to drop. Then, just minutes later, the heavy glass doors swung open with authority. Two men in sharp suits stepped inside, their presence commanding immediate attention. The atmosphere in the room shifted in an instant. "Miss Carter," one of them said respectfully, handing her a document. "Here's the ownership verification you requested." Angela took the papers, her eyes locking onto the now pale faces of the employees before her. Slowly, deliberately, she turned to face them. "Allow me to introduce myself properly," she said, her voice carrying the weight of power and purpose. "I am Angela Carter, CEO and owner of Carter Financial. This bank, it operates under my leadership. And you, Mr. Thompson?" She paused for effect. "Just denied service to your employer." A ripple of gasps spread across the room. Kevin's face went completely white. Mr. Thompson stammered, his confidence crumbling before everyone's eyes. "Ms. Carter, I..." Angela held up a hand, silencing him effortlessly. "Save it," she said coolly. "We'll discuss consequences now." Turning to her financial officers, she made a swift and decisive command. "Effective immediately, Mr. Thompson is relieved of his duties. Any employee found engaging in discriminatory practices will be dealt with accordingly." Mr. Thompson's face twisted in panic. "Please, this was just a misunderstanding," he pleaded desperately. Angela folded her arms, her eyes piercing through him. "A mistake? Or just another display of the bias you apply daily?" she challenged. "Today, you denied service to the CEO. But tell me, how many others have you mistreated just because they didn't fit your idea of wealth?" Before he could stammer out another excuse, the bank security team stepped in. Mr. Thompson was escorted out, his career in shambles. Kevin, still trembling, barely whispered, I didn't know." Angela's gaze didn't waver. Ignorance is not an excuse. Word of the incident spread like wildfire, exposing the deep-seated prejudices embedded in the banking industry. But Angela wasn't just here to punish. She was here to bring change. Under her leadership, new training policies were enforced, ensuring that every customer, regardless of their appearance, was treated with fairness and respect. As for Mr. Thompson, he learned the hard way that judging someone by their looks alone could cost everything. Did this story shock you? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more eye-opening stories. Where are you watching this from? Drop it in the comments below.